So welcome to Connections Church Foster, and so we're continuing our What If series that we've been looking at over the last few weeks, and so that broad concept is, what if we allowed the Spirit of God to change the flow and course and direction of our lives, and how would our lives look? What impact might it have on us? Or on us and on our family and friends and our witness to the world. So over the last few weeks, we've considered, what if we prayed bigger prayers? What if God has more for us? What if we really forgive? And so today I want to share a couple of thoughts on what if we followed godliness in relationships. In Romans chapter 8, verse 12, it says, "Therefore, brothers and sisters, we have an obligation, but it is not to the flesh to live according to it." And then verse 15 says, "The Spirit you received does not make you slaves so that you live in fear again. Rather, the Spirit you received brought about your adoption to sonship." It's saying we have an obligation, not to the flesh, but to our Father as we're His children. To the one who brings us into His family, to live according to His Spirit and in godliness. And so what if we followed godliness and His paths, His recommendations in relationships and in our people interactions? So, for example, our relationships were characterized by giving. First thought, what if our relationships were characterized by giving? In Luke 6, around verse 38, it says, "Forgive and you will be forgiven. Give and it will be given to you." How people treat us will change when we try the approach of godliness, of giving in our relationships. Secondly, if we bless our enemies, how might things change if we blessed our enemies? Matthew 5:44, "But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." That's something that sets us apart and demonstrates what the love and grace of Jesus looks like. What if we would rather be cheated than to shame Jesus? In 1 Corinthians 6 verse 7, it says, "The fact that you have lawsuits among you means you have been completely defeated already. Why not rather be wronged? Why not rather be cheated?" Is it more important for us to have a victory over fellow Christians, to win, or to deal with offense in a godly way that shows people what our Father is like? In a world that often rejects and ridicules believers, what if we stood up for and supported one another publicly, including on social media, because that's always a fun forum for people to have a go at each other. And finally, to not be ashamed of the gospel. What if we were not ashamed of the gospel in our interactions? Romans 1:16, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel, because it is the power of God that brings salvation to everyone who believes." Let's publicly stand up for what we believe in and be identified with Jesus. Not be afraid or reluctant to be clearly seen as church-going, Bible-believing followers of Jesus. So, what if we trusted that godliness really works? If we opened our hearts to risk living the way that Jesus taught us? So, our homework if you're watching online, no one likes the word homework. So here's something for you to ponder. That sounds better. May our words and behaviour and our social media reflect graciousness and blessing our enemies and standing together with believers and not being ashamed of the gospel.